The Northern Air Temple episode is basically the epitome of that's not flying, that's falling with style.
Well, boys, can you just give me the beat? Free my soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Drift away.
To ride off of Dan there, I think Jar Jar Binks would be a fan of Uncle Cracker.
Welcome to the Council of Nerds.
The Council of Nerds.
Welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah, not to get, I don't want to get trademarked.
yeah.
Welcome to the Council of Nerds, ladies and germs. My name is Brian, joined always by my beautiful yet challenged individual co-hosts, Dan and Logan.
Hi.
Last week we had some technical difficulties. I don't know. You can decide your own kind of challenge, I guess. We all have challenges. We had some technical difficulties last week. I actually started off with a few this week and were able to push through. So we're here now. Hopefully it turns out all right. It's working. But like we said before, we are the Council of Nerds. You can find us on just about anywhere you can find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We're also over on YouTube. So if you listen to us anywhere, please head over to YouTube as well. Drop a like and a comment on the YouTube post. Try to help us get us into a few new listeners. We also have an Instagram, as well as in that Instagram, a link to our Discord where we post funny, nerdy memes and all that fun stuff. So, welcome. Today's going to be a little bit different than the last 2 weeks. We're going to jump around a little bit just because of the content we lost last week. But we're still going to be doing 3 episodes from Avatar Season 1. So,
I'm gonna say something. I have a question really quick for the viewers. So we last week, we obviously didn't post the episode, but we talked about possibly doing something pretty fun that would bring our faces more into this thing and post it on YouTube. It'd be really fun. But after going through it, it's in my brain, it's really complicated. But I think it'd be kind of cool if there's anyone out there who knows how to utilize the website roll20.net in any way, or knows anybody who can as well, hit us up because we want to use that. And it'd be really fun. But my brain doesn't get it. And I don't know about you guys. I mean, I went through the whole tutorial and I didn't understand a thing. So if you do know someone, let us know, please.
and not to show my age, the website isn't a Rickroll or anything like that. So don't.
It's really not.
But it could be.
You never know these days.
Yeah.
How many Rickrolls are still out there? Every once in a while, it still happens to me, and I
fall
smile.
for it. Anyway, yeah, like Brian said, we are talking Avatar again. We're only skipping 2 episodes that we went over last week, but because of the technical difficulties, we don't really want to go over 2 of them. But one of them is
Also,
a really
they're
great
insignificant.
episode. Yes, they're also not very important to the show. So, but there is one episode that we talked about that we are going to re-talk about because it's a great episode. It's important to the story, and we love it. But yes, so today we are talking about the 3 episodes we're talking about are, what's the exact number of that episode? It is
13.
Yes, chapter 13, The Blue Spirit. And then we are skipping
16 and 17.
Yes, to 16 and 17, which is The Deserter and the Northern Air Temple. So let's get cracking. I'll give this synopsis for Blue Spirit. This is my favorite episode out of probably the entire series. I love it a lot. I can't explain why, but I do. The synopsis, basically, in the previous episode when Sokka was in that storm with that fisherman, it made him sick. So now he's sick. He has a fever. Best line from Sokka in this episode, honestly, is like, you guys want to know what I love about Appa? It's his great sense of humor. And then Appa makes like a noise and he goes, Appa. And that part kills me. So he's sick. And then like they're like, oh, we need to like land and find some medicine for him. So they land, and then Katara gets sick as well. So Aang's like, I need to get you guys some medicine, and he found a map, and it shows like there's like a what do you call that kind of person who makes
An
medicine?
herbalist.
An herbalist. And so he's like, maybe she'll have something that can help. And so, but then another storm pops up, so he has to like airbend run, which is kind of cool, like super fast, like he's like the Flash. And he runs all the way there, and he's like, lady, I need your help. She tells him to get these frozen frogs from like a swamp nearby. And he's like, what are they supposed to do with frozen frogs? And she's like, suck on them, of course. Like, duh. Who does? Why would you question that? So he's like, all right. And then on the other end, it shows at the time General Zhao being promoted to Admiral Zhao at some sort of Fire Nation base, military base. And they're talking about these like elite archers that are just super boss at what they do. They're like the SEAL Team 6 of the Fire Nation. And so he's like, oh, I want them because he wants their skills. And the guy's like, no, but then he gets promoted. And he's like, all right, well, now it's an order, so give them to me. So he gets them. He tells them to go and hunt the Avatar, basically. And then on the other end, there is a part, I don't know why I always forget this part, but it does show a portion of like Zuko and Iroh, and I think he like wants to play instruments on the ship or something. I don't know.
Well, it's music night is coming up.
Yes.
He like Zhao's cronies come on the ship, and he's like, any information about the Avatar needs to be given to Zhao, and Zuko's like, I don't have any information for him, and like orders the guys off his ship and gets all mad about it. And
that's right.
Uncle Iroh is trying to teach the guys on the boat Pai Sho, and he's just kicking their butts at it. And he's like, you guys are improving. And he's just kicking their trash. It's really funny.
Oh, Uncle Iroh. Classic. Yeah, and so those SEAL Team 6 Fire Nation dudes go, and they actually end up capturing Aang, and so he's not able to get those frozen frogs to his friends. So Aang is now a prisoner at this Fire Nation base. Admiral Zhao thinks he's like this like god over the Fire Nation because he caught the Avatar before a 16-year-old boy who's Prince Zuko, which isn't like, okay. Admiral Zhao has some issues. We can all agree with that. Like, yes, he's evil, but at the same time, like, dude, you're competing against a 16-year-old boy, and you're barely outplaying him at this moment. Loser. Anyway, so yeah, so he gets captured, and then excuse me. And then it's like this cool like sneaky music comes on, and it shows like this figure who's wearing a mask. It's like a blue spirit mask and all black, and he has these swords that connect together, sort of thing. Crazy, super good with them. And he sneaks in.
Swords.
Is that what they're actually called?
Yeah, I saw it on Forged in Fire the other
Oh,
day.
dude, that's a great show. I love that show.
Mhm.
It will
It's
kill.
so good.
Great show.
Yeah.
It will kill.
So yeah, so that the Blue Spirit, which is really the title of the episode, he sneaks into this Fire Nation military camp, and he rescues. Well, he like gets Aang out, and they're like running from all the guards and stuff. And then at one point, Admiral Zhao's like, "No, don't shoot. We need him alive." And then the Blue Spirit guy's like, "What?" And he gets an idea to like put the swords to Aang's neck, so it's like he's gonna kill him. And then Admiral Zhao's like, "Let him go," or whatever. And then they're standing on the wall with the SEAL Team 6 archers. Orders them to shoot the Blue Spirit guy, but to like instantly get ready to go and get Aang. So he does that, and right when it happens, the mask of this Blue Spirit dude comes off. Aang sees who it is, and it is bum bum bum. It's Prince Zuko. What the heck? Holy crap! It's Prince Zuko. What in the world? Holy cow! So Aang puts up this massive cloud of dust using airbending to hide him from all these things. He's about to run, but then he like looks back because Aang's like a good kid, I guess, and he's like, okay, I'll save him. So he saves Zuko from getting captured, and then they have this like really nice moment where he's like, "Oh, I used to play with my friend Kuzan from the Fire Nation like 100 years ago. Do you think
Man.
we could have been friends 100 years ago?" And then Zuko's like, "Fwah!" and he like, "Hwitcha!" like fire punches, like fire punches the air at Aang, and Aang's like, "Fwah!" and he like flies away like, and he like jumps on the trees like a spider monkey. And he gets away, and then he gets the frozen frogs and gives them to his friends, and they are all good. That was a longer synopsis than I probably should have made it, but I love this episode. Like I said, my two favorite parts are the one I said, which is Sokka saying, like thinking he's super funny. That part kills me every time. But then I really love the moment. There's the really good moment between Aang and Zuko at the end, where Zuko like wakes up because he got knocked out, and Aang is like, I wonder if we could have been friends, kind of thing. And it's just like kind of this. It's like a spark to something more, which is pretty cool. It's kind of hinting at something hopefully further in the future of this story, which we don't know whether or not it will happen, but it's really great, and I love it. What about you, Brian?
I just like when the frogs start melting while he's being captured, and they start like climbing out of his clothes, and they're like half frozen, just like scooting away. And he's just like, "No, my friends have to suck on those frogs." And I don't know why that line makes me laugh really hard. But like I like the image of the frogs just going under the door that he's behind, and the guards just like, what? Like they just look down, they're like really confused. But no, and we, like we said, we talked about this episode last week. We ended up losing that episode, but that kind of just touching on what Logan talked about at the end there. It's a human moment for Zuko, where I think for the first time he like doesn't necessarily internalize it, but at least has the thought of maybe this guy isn't this evil that the Fire Nation believes him to be. Because, I mean, ultimately, he's the only one capable of bringing about the downfall of this super powerful Fire Nation. But he's just a kid. Like, and I think Zuko has this moment where he somewhat realizes that in a small way. But then he goes back to the ship, and Uncle Iroh's playing his weird horn thing. And
you missed
he's
music
just
night.
like, yeah, he's like, "You missed it," and he's like, "Let's just go," And he
Yeah.
seems kind of defeated. But
It's
know,
weird.
It's a
though.
good
Like,
episode.
It's almost like you said. It's like he is defeated, but at the same time, it's like he's inside. He's like having to rethink everything he's been programmed to think before.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. But it's a great lesson. It's like the whole idea of like there's a little bit of good in anybody, even if they're super evil. There is always at least a small amount of good in everyone. It's the whole Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker situation. As much as I hate Luke,
Ryan thing.
yeah,
Sure. Totally.
totally.
No one's beyond redemption.
Yeah.
Is kind of the concept of like
Yeah, there you go.
There's always a point where every person could turn back, but there's plenty of people in nerd history and in real history that choose not to make those turning points. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, very much so. What about you, Dan? Do you have a favorite part of this episode?
I think my favorite part. I always like the goofy parts, and if I remember
You?
correctly,
No way.
That's because you're goofy, man. You're goofy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
That's
when
pretty good.
Aang gets all chained up. Also, why do they chain him up that way? It's kind of weird.
So you can't airbend,
And
bro.
then Zhao's like walking away from him, and he like blows or
And he
something
uses-
and knocks his like skirt over his head or something like that. I like that part. That's funny.
Those are good parts, yeah.
I like that Katara's trying to get Momo to bring them water the entire episode. He just keeps bringing them weird
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
Treasure,
And
basically.
they just ends up being like hundreds of just random items. Like at one point, he brings Katara a crown, and then
Queen
she goes, "Aang, help!" And Sokka's like, "Who's this Aang kid you keep talking about, Your Highness?" And just like, it's just funny.
Yeah, what does
It's
he
just
like?
funny.
Doesn't Momo bring her like a dead mouse?
He just brings her. There's like it just shows like a bunch of random items all around them, and she's like, "How many times do I have to tell you we need water?"
Yeah.
Like, and he's just not getting the message. And I like that it shows him like what he's hearing, and it's
It literally is.
yeah,
It literally sounds like what we think Momo is saying.
Right.
Like,
Sounds
Yeah.
like the Peanuts' parents.
yes, Charlie Brown's parents.
Oh.
I agree.
for some reason, I instantly went to Mr. Peanut, and I was like, Mr. Peanut has parents? So
It's a deep cut conspiracy
crazy.
theory right
Yeah.
there.
It's pending.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Hot take.
Great episode. Honestly, I could probably rewatch the Blue Spirit episode 100 times. I really love it. But yeah, honestly, just if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. But yeah, let's move on to the next episode.
yeah. Next episode, we're going to chapter 16, the deserter, not like the dessert,
Like the tasty treat.
but like guy who deserts his post militarily. We join our weary travelers as they're going to they're trying to make it to the North Pole, as we know. It's their continual effort, but they need food. And then they see a post for this festival that's going on. It's a Fire Nation festival, and they decide to go. Long story short, they get caught, as they do, and they have to flee with this random dude in the crowd. He's like, "Come on, follow me. I'll get you out of here." They get away. Turns out this guy is part of this team of men that follow this guy named Zhang Zhang, who was a Fire Nation general and was the first man to ever flee the Fire Nation army and live, which is a pretty big deal. And he says, "I'm the second one, but you don't get famous for being the second one." And I always feel bad for him because like that's still like impressive. Like
Yeah. They make him seem like such a loser in this episode.
right. So they end up going there to their little camp. Zhang Zhang is really pissed that the Avatar is there. Aang confronts him, is like, "I need to learn firebending, and you're probably the only opportunity I have." He says, "You're not ready. You need to learn water and earth before you can learn fire." And that's one of my favorite parts, and I'll talk about that in a bit. And then there's this really cool moment where Avatar Roku pops up, and he's like,
yeah.
"You won't teach me." He's like, "Avatar Roku," like, and he gets like he gets scared. He's like, I have learned all bending 1,000 times, and I will learn it 1,000 more. You will teach the Avatar. And of course, then he switches his attitude and goes, "Yeah, okay, I'll teach you." And Aang's Aang, right? And I think it's really interesting. This kind of, I don't know if it gets talked about later on in the show, but it's interesting how like the disciplines have an opposite in terms of like the way you come about developing the skills within those bending styles. Like airbending and firebending to me seem so different from each other in terms of what you need to do to be able to produce the two. And same with water and earth. They just seem totally juxtaposed.
They do kind of hint at it later in the show. Kind of. They somewhat skim over it. But yeah, it's really interesting.
But so Zhang Zhang starts doing all the rudimentary basic training. And of course, Aang, being Aang, is super impatient and doesn't want to do any of that stuff. He wants to just start doing fire. And Zhang Zhang's having him do stuff like learn how to breathe and feel the warmth of the sun. And he's like, "I've been doing that my whole life. I know the sun is warm. Let's move on. Like I want to do other stuff." He's like, "I've been breathing forever." And he goes, "What? You want to stop breathing?" He's like, "That's not what I'm saying, but I've been breathing my whole life." Like,
I get it.
It's really funny. And then he's told to hold a leaf that has like, he puts a scorch mark on a leaf. He said, "Concentrate and keep the flames from hitting the edge of the leaf as long as you can." And then while he's concentrating on that, Zhao, again, our lovely Jason Isaacs, shows up on his river boats to attack what he knows as this location. You learn in the episode as well that Zhang Zhang is really hesitant to teach an impatient learner because he had a pupil that was very impatient and just wanted to learn how to use fire to destroy his enemies and to use it to just dominate anyone around him. You find out that person is Zhao, and he has no self-control and all that stuff, which becomes important after the fact. Aang has this moment though where he bursts the leaf into flame and he's playing with it. He's like, "Oh look, I can do it!" And Katara's like, "Aang, you need to stop. You're gonna hurt yourself." She approaches, and he kind of does this like thing that he saw from a firebending magician, where he pushes it out in a circle. Katara puts her hands up and it just roasts her hands, which is really sad. Sokka like tackles Aang to the ground, which I always find funny when Sokka gets pissed and tries to like overpower a bender, because like any of them could just be like, and he's gone.
Do that again. That was funny.
Like PG.
People can't see, but he moves his hand just like 2 inches.
But Aang is distraught as is expected. But then you find out that Katara somehow instinctually knows how to heal herself with water, which is super cool. And then you learn that some of the best waterbenders had this ancient ability of being able to heal people with water. So Katara has that ability, which is super important for the rest of the show and super cool to know in general. And then Zhao attacks, and Aang has this really cool moment where he's like, "Oh, this guy has no self-control." And he gets Zhao to destroy his own boats out of his fury and rage.
Figures out the
And
teaching.
he's like, "You've lost." And there's this moment where he goes, "You lost this fight." He's like, "What are you talking about? You haven't thrown a single blow." And he goes, "Yeah, but you have." And he gestures to the boats as they're sinking. And of course, he gets super pissed off.
Yeah. Have a nice walk home.
Yeah.
Got him.
The 2 significant parts in this episode for me that I really, really like is Zhang Zhang talks about the different disciplines. And he's like, you need to learn waterbending. Like, waterbending is all about life and flow and balance. And he's like, then you need to learn earthbending, because earthbending is steady and constant and all this stuff. And he's like, fire is different. It's alive. It's living. A rock won't move without a bender, but if you light a fire, it will spread on its own, and you need to learn how to control that. Otherwise, it will consume you. And that's really something that is really compelling in the whole show. Is just like, it's really interesting because like the wind will blow in its own way, but not in like a way that it will like. But I don't know, like a hurricane, I guess it can destroy things on its own.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting concept, but like fire is very devastating. And if you don't take the time to master that, it'll destroy you. And then the other part that I like is it's really kind of, again, is a compelling moment, is Katara comes to talk to Aang, is like to tell him Zhao's attacking, and he's just like facing the wall, like there's candles lit behind him where Zhang usually sits, so everybody's facing the wall, and he's like, I'm never gonna firebend again. She's like, you're gonna have to eventually, get over yourself.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'll never do it. And he's
Never.
like, she's like, I'm fine, I'm healed. And he's like, what? How? Like, whatever. But it's really like, it's really interesting, I guess, Aang's personality of how quickly he can turn on a dime.
Yeah.
It's just like, he was so excited to like learn this thing, and it was so awesome, and it was the coolest of the bending, right? Like in his mind, this firebending super impressive and powerful. And then he just goes, I am never going to do it again. Ever again. I don't care what I have to do. I will not live up to my potential. You all can bite me. I'm never doing it again.
It really
just shows that he's 12.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, wow, that really shows his actual age. Like, yeah, he's the Avatar. Yeah, he's technically 112 years old or whatever, but he's just a 12-year-old boy, and when like something like that happens, that's exactly what happens. You know, like they go sit against a wall and they're like, I'm never doing this again. Like, it's like if you suck at math, like you just can't figure out your math homework when you're 12 and you're like, I'm never doing math again. Like, I can't do it. It's like, okay, well, you're going to have to do it again. It's like, no. And then she's like, look, you can figure it out. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll do it. But yeah.
Yeah, those are my favorite parts.
Those are good favorite parts. My absolute favorite part of this episode is, so before they go into that like little fire city town, whatever, they're like, oh, we're gonna need some disguises, and so it shows like Katara and Sokka like putting on like their cloaks and hoods like really cool way, like throwing them on and just like Sokka, it's like Sokka, Katara, and then Aang like pulls his shirt over his head so he looks like Igor from Young Frankenstein, or Igor, and he's like, and his arms are
Igor.
just like flaring there, and he just keeps it like that. And I think that part's so funny. It kills me every time. It just is like so dumb, and it's like he's 12,
perfect.
but I would do that at age 26. I would. That's so funny. But yeah, it's absolutely perfect, especially for describing Aang. It's kind of like, like the very beginning where like he comes out of the iceberg and they're like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Can we ride?
Go penguin sledding?
Yeah, can we go penguin sledding?" Like it's just like that same idea. It keeps Aang to be more like of a human kid. I love that part. I do really like. I love the training he does with what's his name, Zhao Zhao
Zhang.
Zhang. I love the training because I love learning about like the different training techniques for each of the elements. It's really cool, and we'll see in the future with Earth. It's just they're so different. All of them are so different. And then like what you said, and they talk about it I think in season 2. Like there are opposites. Earth and water are opposites, and fire and air are complete opposites. But it's also cool because they also work together in some form to exist. And so I think that I really like the training that he does, because you actually throughout this whole series we don't get a ton of firebending training. It's this episode and then like last few episodes. Really, it's like barely any at all. So it's really I like that part a lot. But yeah, what about you,
And
Dan?
what about you, bud?
Excuse me. I like all the parts with Zhang. I don't know. I just thought he was a really cool firebender. And he looks really cool.
He
Like
does
the hair and the what was it? Fu Manchu?
I don't
Yep.
know if that's the
The Fu Manchu, the goatee.
Doesn't he have like a headband too?
Uh-huh.
Like
He
the
looks exactly.
the Naruto headband?
Yeah, that's why. That's why I like it. He looks like Pervy Sage.
I don't even know who that is.
1,000 years of pain.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it's a good episode. It's really interesting. You learn that Zhao is unhinged.
Yeah.
Like he's a crackpot.
Absolutely.
And it
But
only
you
gets
learn
worse from
that
there.
You also, one thing I think is interesting, and I think it's something that's been established, but like firebending strength comes from your breath.
Yeah.
So it's all breathing technique when it comes to firebending.
It seems more of like
which is interesting.
Like a whole energy sort of thing. Like it's, like you said, it's the breath, but like they also really have to focus on like the energy from the sun, like photosynthesis style, which is cool because I mean the sun is their power. That's it's like waterbenders have the moon, and so yeah, that is cool. But yeah, let's move on to the next episode, I guess. And
you're up.
Yeah.
The next episode, titled "The Northern Air Temple," production number 117.
This is the best audiobook I've ever gotten.
It's just like Jim
I'm
Dale
not the
quality.
biggest fan
Right
of this episode. I'll say
And
it.
stop.
I didn't like it. Fine, okay. So basically, the gang. Oops. What do they call themselves? Team Avatar.
Team Avatar.
Team Boomerang.
Team Boomerang.
They continue their travels. They come across some dude, big party people, and they're like, "Oh, there's these Skywalkers or something, Airwalkers."
It's Airwalkers, yeah.
Skywalkers.
Yeah. Skywalkers.
Hmm.
And so Aang's like, "Oh, we have to go see at the Northern Air Temple. People can walk in the air. Got to be airbenders." They get there. They're like, "Oh, these aren't airbenders. These are earthbenders and non-benders from the Earthbender Kingdom." And he was like, "Man, what are they doing? They're messing up my whole temple." So Aang's like, "I don't like you guys. You guys suck. This is my culture. Blah, blah, blah. Get out of here."
Falling with
Things
style.
go on. There's that kid who's got like the race car wheelchair. It's not like a normal wheelchair. It looks like a race car bed.
Like a Formula One wheelchair.
Yeah, it's like a Pinewood
Exactly.
Derby, but as a wheelchair.
And he's kind of a baller. And
Yeah,
so
he
they're
is.
exploring,
What's his name again?
and they come across that one
I
room
don't even
that's
remember.
like, locked with. Don't know.
I can't remember.
Uh,
That's fine. Keep going. I'll look it up.
Teo.
Teo.
It's
Yeah.
Teo. That's what it is. So yeah, they explore the air temple. There's another one of those like hidden stage rooms that can only be opened by airbenders. And so Aang's like, oh, let's open that up. Maybe there's stuff in there. And he opens it up, and there's a bunch of equipment. Turns out the Teo's dad, super smart dude. He invented all the gliders and stuff they were using. Well, they found the gliders, and then they improved upon the gliders. And oh yeah, he's building stuff for the Fire Nation. Aang's like, what's going on? And the dad's like, I have to, or they'll kill us all. And Aang's like, oh, that's not cool. I like you guys now. Let's beat up the firebenders. And
Yeah.
I think this is the first time where you see like the airships and the tanks.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it
I
is.
like that a lot. So they battle. Team Avatar wins. Team Fire Nation sucks, which is
Yeah.
weird because they were able to conquer the entire world, but they can't beat 4 kids and a bunch of homeless Earth Kingdom people. So yeah,
That's one way to put it, I guess. Yeah.
I'm gonna vote. Dan gives the best synopsis. Like,
Yeah.
it's word for word exactly how it went down.
I close my eyes, it's like I'm there.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Go
Thank
for
you,
it.
Dan.
Yeah.
That was great.
you're welcome.
You have a favorite part? Or do you hate the episode that much?
No, I think my favorite part, especially when I was a kid, the first time you like saw the tanks like climb up, and then when they're first fighting the tanks, they're like, oh, they like flipped one upside down or they crashed, and you're like, yeah, they win, and then the tank keeps going, and you're like, oh, how they gonna beat the tanks, man? How they gonna beat the tanks, man? And then they beat the tanks with airships, air superiority.
And water bending.
And airbending.
Yeah, well, Katara, they're like, the one kid, Teo, is like, oh, the balancing mechanism, if we freeze it
Oh yeah,
or whatever, it won't work. And so she uses like ice.
because they're made of.
Make
It
'em
uses
not
like
work.
water or whatever to
Mhm.
function. That's right.
I enjoy, and I had a part in my head, and I like that, like when they first get there, Aang sees the gliders going around, and Katara, or it's either Sokka or Katara is like, look, they are airbenders, and he goes, no, they're not. Like,
Yeah.
he instantly knows that they're not airbenders. He's like, dude, they have no spirit. It's like, there's the way they're doing it, it's just not right. I thought that was really interesting. It's like,
They're posers.
I feel like you can't really. I mean, you can to some extent. We've seen small demonstrations of like Momo earthbending and other things where you can like fake bending.
Right.
But it seems like it's like, I feel like an earthbender could tell if someone's fake earthbending. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like he knew from so far away. No, this isn't it. And then, but he gives one exception, and it's to the Teo kid. And he's like, you know what? He's not an airbender, but he has the spirit of an airbender, and because of the way he does things, like I like the face he makes with smoke in the sky of Aang, and it's just like this derpy face in the sky. It's really funny. But I like that he's able to make that caveat. It's like, yeah, you may not be an airbender, but in another life, you know, it's like you definitely
right,
have the ability or the spirit to do that. So I like that part.
That's a good part. I have my 2 favorite parts. I love so when Aang first finds out that the Fire Nation is, or that the scientist guy is making these machines and weapons or whatever for the Fire Nation, he's pretty mad. They're trying to, and even the scientist, his son, what's his name? Tuo, whatever.
Teo.
Tano, what?
Teo.
Like he's pretty mad too, and they're like, dude, what are you doing? And then the Fire Nation guy like shows up, and Aang's like, I'm not going anywhere, and he like stands up to this Fire Nation dude, and he does the whole like what Brian did. He's like, whoosh, like he does like this air slap to this guy's face.
He like slaps him in the face. It's so sweet.
But it's pretty cool because he's like whoosh, and it like curveball, like swipes his face with
like
air.
an air whip.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
the guy's like, whoa, and his hair's all like out of its bun because it's just all messed up from getting
Ponytail.
air smacked. And then like the guy, he's like, get out of here, like leave. And then Aang like uses airbending to like push the trap door closed. I don't know, that part's just super cool to me. And he does that whole like whoosh, whoosh, airbend slap, and it's awesome.
Airbending whip.
Yeah. The second part I love is when Katara, Aang, and Tahoe, whatever his name is, Teo, go flying, and Aang's like, just make sure you keep your mouth closed so you don't get bugs in there. And then Momo's there, and he's like, Tap. And he like opens his mouth, and then he's just like munching on bugs. I love that part. All around, like, this isn't like a favorite episode of mine. It has some decent parts. We meet some characters that will be somewhat pivotal in the future, which is the scientist guy and Taco. And I'm just gonna
Oh
call
my
him
gosh!
From this point,
you're doing it on
I'm
purpose
just,
now.
at this point, I'm doing it on purpose because it's a better name.
Taco.
Taco.
He's Kyoshi Island. What's the name? Kyoshi Island.
Stop.
Who the avatar from Kyoshi Island? I can't remember.
Who is that? Who's that broad? I don't remember.
It's Taco.
Yeah, Avatar Taco, right? I remember that guy.
She the one who can throw
Hey.
rocks, Hey. Yeah,
He's
her.
a bodybender.
Yeah. She from downtown Brooklyn, and she can
Hey.
throw rocks at all the kids.
Get 'em.
But yeah, it's a good episode. I like it. I don't know. Is there anything else that you guys want to say? Who wants a T-shirt? Who wants a T-shirt? Huh?
I just want to say Taco.
It's a cool name.
That's all you wanted to say.
Taco.
I find the word taco in Spanish to be very interesting because it doesn't just mean taco, like what you eat at a taco stand. It means like a lot of things.
Well, what I find more interesting about it is like I don't really know how much they use it in Mexico. I've never been to Mexico, but I know that in the regions of like Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, that general area down there, taco means high heels. And that's what they use it for, and they're like, why do they call that food tacos? They don't get it. So it's pretty funny.
American taco?
Tacos are an Americanized thing.
Oh.
But the other thing that I've heard taco be used for is a pull cue. I've heard that term.
Interesting.
Like the pull, like cue, like
Yeah.
stick, pull stick.
The
For those who
stick.
don't know what a pull cue is,
It's a freaking
I was
stick.
playing pool with, fun fact, Logan and I speak Spanish. Dan doesn't. But I was playing pool. Sorry?
Si muchos.
I was playing pool with some friends, and they said, "Dame la taco," and I was like,
There's no tacos here,
"Huh?"
bro.
I'm like, I don't have food. Like, I'm really confused. And he said, "No, the
This
pool's
is
the pool cue." I was like, "Oh,
No tacos here, friend.
no tacos."
Another place that I've heard taco is in Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Northern Air Temple. There's a kid who's in a wheelchair, and his name's Taco. It's the only other place I've heard it.
Thank you for putting us back on topic, Logan.
Yeah.
I would say my only thing.
It's a good
I've heard it
wrap-around.
both ways.
circled
Fair
back.
enough. I'm a little lost, but fair enough.
Yeah, I circled back. I always circle
At least
back.
some people circle back.
Yeah.
At least some people do.
Yeah.
To have my parting shot. I think that a lot of these episodes, in a weird way, like Blue Spirit showed like a level of maturity in Aang, but then the Deserter showed the opposite. And I would say that the Northern Air Temple episode kind of shows an arc of his maturity of like, these guys suck. Like, they're pretenders.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of posers, man. And then he goes, you know what? They're doing the best they can with what they got, and I appreciate that. Like, they're living their best life.
It's almost like
Well.
it's not even I guess necessarily like maturity, but like that it's kind of showing the actual culture of airbenders, which we don't know of because there are none except for Aang. To me, it's like, I mean, he's 12. I don't know any mature 12-year-olds. And I mean, I just kind of feel like maybe Brian was mature when he was 12. I don't know. Dan was for sure mature when he was 12.
Absolutely. I've gone downhill.
Yeah.
I've gone downhill. I
It's
peaked
like-
at 12.
It's like Benjamin. He's got like the Benjamin Buttons. He's got the Benjamin Buttons
Maturity.
disease.
Of
but
maturity.
Maturity, yeah. But yeah, it's kind of like this culture. It's like the airbenders were very like, they're like monks, obviously. I mean, they were monks. And so like they're very like at peace and kind of mature in their own way and teaching. So it's kind of cool to see that. But we about out of time. So thank you for listening to this podcast. We post them every Tuesday. Check them out. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Google Podcasts, just about any platform that you can listen to a podcast on. We're also on YouTube. No video necessarily yet. We maybe in the future. It's
Working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it. But it will be nice we really want more people to discover the podcast. So if you could just jump over to YouTube and leave a comment and a like on the video just to kind of push the algorithm to have people discover it. I don't know, what's a good comment people can post this week?
Let's see.
Taco Tuesday.
Oh yeah, Tuesday.
How many tacos you guys ate for Taco Tuesday?
That's a good one.
There you go.
How many tacos did you eat on Taco Tuesday, which is the day this podcast airs? But yeah, please it helps push it. Also, we have a Discord, post a lot of memes. Shout out to Ian, who is Black Corridor on Discord, who posts a ton of solid memes for Star Wars and Lord of the Rings specifically. Just golden memes. Well done. But yeah, it's fun. If you want to join the Discord, it's the invite link is in our Instagram bio, and we will be trying to work harder on our Instagram to make it better. We got some tips and tricks that we're going to try out. But really, thank you so much. Any last words, boys?
Taco.
Dan?
Hot dog. That's an American taco.
Oh, yeah.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, it's a taco.
Yeah, it's a taco. Duh.
Taco sandwich?
It's an American taco. A taco's a taco. Come on, dude. Get with the program. Later, guys. Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Is up at
The Council of Nerds.